So the Classics Day event ends literally tonight, and we are a long way away from qualifying for the event trophy, and I just have to get this one in my trophy gallery. If you don't recognize these antlers, these are from the pre-Truax days. This is what a big whitetail looked like in the Hunter Classic more than 10 years ago when I started playing. So there are a number of ways to earn points in this to qualify. There are missions, there are competitions, and then every whitetail buck you shoot is worth 10 points. We need a whole bunch, so we're going to try to take out a whole bunch of whitetail bucks. So if I've counted correctly, we're going to need 37 whitetail bucks, basically in about 30 hours. I'm recording this Monday morning. I think the event ends like middle of the day or maybe in the evening Eastern time today as this video comes out. So we have a lot of bucks to get, and hopefully we can get, say, 10 to 15 in this video. And because we're going to be so exclusively focusing on them, moose, elk, anything else we may hear from today, we're just going to ignore. We can maybe get something decent. I'd love to get a solid non-tip or a rare, but we'll see. Honestly, it's all about the numbers today. And that's another buck out there. It's really tiny, and frankly, it's early in the morning. I'd probably rather not do this, but I also don't want to sit here and wait to call in like a 50-something scoring buck. So we're just going to blast this from here, and then maybe we can just quickly scoot to kind of an undisturbed area. I don't want to shoot through the water. The other thing I didn't want was to completely lose sight of him in the reeds. That'll kill him. 7.64 is a pretty potent round, so we'll just mark that exact spot. And we shouldn't have to track him too terribly far. And just to pull back the curtain for a second, in probably every other video on this channel, that exact encounter happens, we just ignore it. But today, we need every buck we can get. I don't think I mentioned, I still need to do the mission and the competition as well for 37 bucks to be the number. So we have a lot to get done in a short period of time. We definitely want to take every opportunity we can get. So he kind of led us over here. We're well beyond anything that would have heard that shot anyway. So we'll just kind of scoot up this way. This should be undisturbed territory. It may have taken us a little while to get going, but now our third whitetail buck, and we're on the tracks of a pretty heavy fourth one. So as long as we can continue making decent shots, and we don't have to spend a bunch of our time tracking stuff down, I think we can maybe achieve our goal of getting maybe 12 plus in this video. So let's grab this real quick. Another average one. 90 kilo even, that's not bad. But we're on a 75 to 95 track down here, which isn't terribly old. So hopefully he's not too far. I'd imagine he probably went out this kind of ridge. So we'll see if that's where he's at. Is that our buck? I think it is. 60 to 8. Hold on. Yeah, that's gotta be it. I don't think I've ever tracked like a 75 to 95 kilo buck that's that underwhelming. Let's try to get an arrow in him. And at the very least, we don't have to track him any further. He didn't go that far. He didn't even really make it out this ridge at all. So I guess, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, numbers are what matters. But I was hoping maybe that would be our first big frame buck. Instead, like maybe 70? 65 even. I'm like speechless. I can't believe it wasn't at least like a 120. Well, they may be 5 of the least impressive bucks of all time. At least we're back north of 100 this time. But 5 in an hour I will absolutely take, provided we can actually make this shot. And he's kind of in that perfect spot. We're up against the tree. What we can do is start to draw, get out of the stand up to get past that brush. And now we do have 5 bucks down. It's actually an hour and like 2 minutes or something like that. So we will take it. It's definitely going to slow down, obviously, as we take some of these bucks off the map. Not a bad deal, though. Still haven't even had a 130. But I think in this case, probably the better option is a bunch of subpar ones as opposed to just a couple good ones. Now that's a little more like it, a 155 to 180. The one question is he the one that I've got this track of? Because this one's spooked. I think maybe when we got out of the stand to go and claim the other one, he was actually coming into the call. But I want to check. Yeah, that weight matches. So almost definitely, he's not going to come in. I think, again, we'll use the 7x64. You know, that said, he is kind of coming this way. So maybe we can do it silent. Nah, he's definitely spooked. That animation right there only happens when they're spooked. I know it was really subtle, but that kind of look back over his shoulder. He's not going to come into the call. He just happens to be walking this way. I think even though we may spook some stuff by taking that shot, probably it's just going to save us time to do that. And the best thing is, those last 2 bucks, the one from the stand where we had to get out and take the shot, and now this one, they're in the same general area where we shot the first one. We fast traveled back here, mostly because I want to go this way. We haven't gone into this part of the map at all yet, and we got 2 bonus bucks for our efforts. So I think this is like a high rack. I don't know, he's a 7x7, probably gonna be like a 168 or something like that, but pretty solid performance from the 7.64, 167.4. I think we'll take a quick photo. High racks are just, they look so cool. And I was gonna set this up like maybe holding the antler, but I wanted to be able to move this and show. I don't know if it has water or like what is happening when we move him. It's kind of odd, but if we get this to zoom just right, I think that'll work. Considering the lighting, using just the sky, kind of the backlight the antlers is probably our best option. And now we're at what, 6 bucks? Actually going pretty well after a slow start. And you know, timing wise, this has actually worked out pretty well. Now that the sun has kind of burned off some of that fog, we can see a lot further, and this is kind of the area where I'd be worried about that. So thus far too, we've been able to drop all of our bucks. I guess other than the one that we shot really far away, and I was going to spook that doe anyway. I'm kind of using the multiplayer counter to keep track of how many bucks we shoot since we know we need 37. But out in here, especially later in hunts, it does seem like bucks will just kind of start to wander around. I think all the deep water kind of keeps them from going in one direction for too long. So it's already 7:30. We've been here an hour and 20 minutes. I expect to maybe be able to find them like that. And since we can see far, it'll be a little tougher at least to miss them. So just a 100.9 scoring buck there, but he's number 7. And yeah, now we don't have the obstacle of not being able to see pretty much out to render. You know, what I think is on full display here is that max weight estimate tracks don't necessarily mean anything whatsoever when it comes to the actual score of the buck. We had that one earlier that was like, I think it was 65 or something like that. That was a good estimate. This guy's up to 95 kilo on the spotting. And the buck that is the only decent one of the hunt, I think he was 75 to 85. If you're a classic player, in all likelihood, at some point, you've actively seeked out max weight tracks. Whether it's whitetail, mule deer, almost anything else other than scored by weight, ultimately, a lot of it's down to just chance. 89 kilo for him, just a 115.0001, interestingly enough. But buck number 8, and now I really like our odds of getting to a good number. We might fast travel, it's a short one, but sometimes that fast travel can elicit a grunt. No such luck there, but it was worth a try. We'll just continue then, kind of down around this side, because we sort of ended up chasing other deer. We still haven't gone through here, so we'll just kind of loop around the inverse of what we had planned. And it sure didn't take long to get one coming in. This time a 115 to 135, so at least a little bit better. And as long as we can kind of continue this trend of making good, solid drop shots, which I feel like we almost messed up there. It was inevitable when I said it, in all honesty, but the first time we were about to send that arrow, it was going to be a little bit to the side. I think that ended up being intestines, weirdly enough. I'm not quite sure how we missed the lungs, but I didn't see any bright blood where we hit him. Either way, it'll bring him down, and double-digit bucks is all but guaranteed. We did get a lung too, so he won't go too far, but that'll be number 9. We still have plenty of time to get more on the board. Might have gotten ourselves into a bit of a situation here. That should be buck number 10. Another very average one, and this was yet another up to 95 kilo. Pretty sure that's the right buck. Yeah, I got back on the track of the one that we had hit before, so he shouldn't be very far away. And so long as we don't somehow lose the tracks, which shouldn't be an issue, that'll get us to 10 in less than an hour and a half? Or right about an hour and a half, not bad. And there we go, so hopefully no more jinx on our own shots, and we'll see where we can end up. That was still lung intestine. Less than a 50-second wound time, 124, I think, sadly, is our second biggest buck. We've got all of this room to work with, so we'll try to take it slow. But again, we can move a little faster now that we can actually kind of see all the way out. I actually think, even though there's a little bit more room to cover, we're going to go ahead and make the decision to fast travel south. So that will be buck number 11. And the one thing I got to kind of thinking about, there's quite a number of whitetail down in this area too, and we probably shouldn't spend all of our time on the west side, especially if we've killed 11. There can't be that many more bucks over on this side of the map. So double lunged him, probably going to be like 60s again, 56 even. And I guess the decision really comes down to one of 3 tents. We could go all the way over here. I kind of think we'll go to the middle and then kind of loop down and around. So let's try this spot, or try it in 8 minutes. I guess we're making better time than I thought. And hey, we'll accept bonus bucks around these parts. That could be buck number 12. I actually had his track earlier, and it was the one instance, it was a super light track, like the 75 kilo one. I know we talked about weight, but at some level, it does start to matter. Usually the really tiny weight ones are never going to have any potential. And I just figured, you know, we've shot a bunch of smaller bucks, and we've gotten a good number. Wasn't going to worry about it. We had the time, and that adds 1 to the list. I'm looking at it though, we're going to have 12 bucks with a total CSS of under 600. So an average of less than 50, that really shows you like the quality or lack thereof for the bucks we've been getting. But I have found the hunts where we've killed some of our best bucks. Often like we don't have as many, so it might kind of be a blessing in disguise here, but I think now we're about ready to fast travel, so we'll try the other side of the map. Oh my, I had no idea. What were we supposed to do there? We probably could have killed it with the 7x6.4, but when that other buck grunted, and he wasn't very big, I didn't want to risk spooking this one. Maybe he'll end up coming back in. I guess we can track him down if needed. I don't think I've ever fast traveled and had something that close, like right on top of us like that. And I'd say we made the right call too. There's another buck coming in here that is not the one that called. That one is somewhere back this way. Actually, I haven't seen him yet. And even better than that, the one that we spooked is standing somewhere right out there. Now, I don't know. He's only 150 meters away. If he kind of just wanders around, he may just turn right back around and start coming to the call when he calms down. I do have some bad news though. That is the buck that we actually heard grunt when we got here, so he would have been better than the one that spooked. Can we do this just behind the tree? It's gonna be through the tree. Kind of gotta extrapolate. Oh, that wasn't a lung shot. Or at least not double lung. It'll get him, but that's a little annoying. There's another buck though. We could get, I think, up to like 16 here if everything works out. So buck number 2 of this spot. Goodness. I don't know what it is about this stand. Shooting's not as good. But there is our third one. I don't know where anything happened, and finally back on the right side of 130. The only bad thing is I did lose track of that first one that spawned right at the tent. Just with all the chaos. 4 different bucks here. And I'm pretty sure there's a doe underneath us that hasn't spooked. We're just going to stay here then. I thought the doe would spook, and in all likelihood, that buck has either spooked by one of the ones that we didn't make a good shot on, or maybe just walked out of render. Might as well give him a minute just in case. And actually, there he is. So even though we literally spawned right on top of him, sitting here giving him some extra time, managed to bring him in, and at least 2 for 4. Dropping these bucks. So that is, provided we can track him down, gonna get us to 16. That's so much better than I even thought this entire video would be. So we maybe even can top that, depending on how long this takes. Kinda got lucky there. Only hard shot this buck a 148. This guy might top 100. I think he's just an 8-point, but decent frame. He's probably gonna be in the 90s, I think. Hit pretty much everywhere gonna make up for it. 108 actually. Better than I thought. So I know this is a long shot. I kind of want to know what happened on the other one, but if it was intestines, it would make sense to give him the most time. And I was able to see that really small buck. It was down here like the last place I saw it, so we shouldn't have to track too much. I mean, like, they're everywhere. This will probably be, I think I see him. This will probably be a good one to take with a gun, because there's just too much going on right now. course, he stopped back in there. That's where he's at, though. When he steps out, we'll try to just stick around through him. Another very average buck. And it's almost like he knows that brush will hide him. Not gonna work forever, though. Almost like the exact same size as the one that we just got. Kind of surprised that didn't drop him, but he won't go far. This is getting more and more complicated as we keep on hitting more bucks. Shoulder blade left lung for him at 55 score. So that's number 15, and I kind of think this might have been single lung. This guy will have gone just a couple of meters. And that, by the way, was exactly the case. So 16 bucks down and recovered with a 17th to go. The only thing is we gotta run all the way back there now. Which at this point, considering how much time we're saving by killing a bunch of bucks, I guess isn't a bad thing. And finally, we're caught back up. No more deer to track. That looked close. It was liver and stomach, I guess? Shooting through the tree maybe was not our best idea. Yeah, that angle kinda got us. Definitely need to be a little bit further forward, but the decision was made for us between going down into here or on this side of the map. Since that buck ran to the west, we'll pretty much get down into here, and I think the last thing essentially we're going to do, when we can fast travel again, is jump to this end, and that will allow us to cover pretty much everything I wanted to today. I mean, this is truly one of the best hunts we've ever had, at least in terms of numbers for whitetail deer, and another decent one to boot, 145 to 170 on this guy, and I think, I don't know, 34 is like a rough distance. He's coming in a little bit closer, so while he's walking, let's get to full draw. And either if he stops or maybe just walks in close enough we feel comfortable, he's going to stop. Sniff in the air like that, he knows we're here. That's why I wanted to get drawn back while he was walking, but that's going to be buck number 18. So we're basically at the halfway point for how many we need. 18 times 2 would be 36, but, you know, close enough to the 37 requirement. Lung, liver, stomach will get that guy down to 161. Makes him our second best buck. And we really haven't even made it that far down here. I'm not trying to get my hopes up too much, but all of a sudden 20 bucks in one hunt is feeling very, very possible. That's another really low weight estimate, 65 to 75, and a very uncooperative deer. Pretty sure the arrow could go through the water. It can indeed. So there's another doe over there that we're gonna maybe try not to spook. I'm not as worried about it because we have that fast travel in our back pocket. I think we'll probably just go ahead, she'll spook, and then we'll get down here a little bit further in case there is another buck. Kind of think maybe that's the one I had the track of. He never did call or anything. Happened to see him out there and brought him in, double lung 114. Is that going to remove the track from the hunter mate? It's not. So there's another potentially okay buck down here anyway. Well, I think this does confirm no non-tips or rares today, but in a hunt where we needed whitetail bucks, and I was hoping to maybe get like 12 to 15, this is going to be buck number 20, and that really does help in trying to get this event done. So, assuming that everything does go to plan for today, this video should come out at noon. There's going to be something like 7 hours left in the event if I looked at the timing correctly. So, maybe, if you're also still working on the event, a little bit of inspiration to try to get it. Like I said, the trophy is just so darn cool. Having the old OG racks is something I really want in the gallery for forever, essentially. So another 56. I am curious, 20 bucks, 1,000 CSS. So we ended basically where we were before, right about 50 as the average. Not very many big ones, but we haven't killed 20 bucks of the same species in the same hunt, maybe ever. But if so, not very often. So I do think on that note, that's going to do it for this video. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.